What I'm talking about today and hear about today is recalling Mayor Rivera and Vice Mayor Larry Small. I'd also like to tell people, someone asked me yesterday if I'm a politician or interested in either one of these offices. I am not a politician, and I will not run for any public office ever. I've been watching this, as most of the citizens have in the Springs, for the last few years. I think the thing that really tipped me for Mayor Rivera was these classical ethical violations that went down, the ones that we all are aware of. Although there probably were no, at least as far as we know, any illegal violations that went on. Though, of course, there was not really a very thorough investigation in my mind. But we do know there were ethical violations here. Hanging around with people who are doing business with the city, doing business with them on the side. But the fact that he did not step forward immediately and say, yes, this is what happened, and stood back and acted like there's something wrong, means that he knew there was something going on here that should not have been going on. We, the citizens here, this is our money, whether these gentlemen realize it or not. Mayor Small, I think, has had the same attitude. He supported Mayor Rivera in this ethical jamble or whatever they were running down here. But I think the thing that finally tipped it for me on Mayor Small was this business of going after a private citizen who does have problems with the city, and the city has had problems with him, and maybe some of us don't particularly care for his politics, but using the city council as an enforcement tool for law enforcement after law enforcement had dismissed the ticket against the gentleman, I'm talking about Mr. Bruce, and then trying to get them to reinstate it so they could use this as a tool of the city council. This is not the way law enforcement is supposed to run in this country. The other thing is, and this is typical of exactly what I'm talking about, they allow the distribution of false information during this election that Mr. Bruce ran. I do not personally agree with Mr. Bruce's political viewpoints. Some of them are valid. I don't like his approach, and I don't like what he's done. But on the other hand, if a citizen comes forward, at least we ought to tell the truth. The city came up and said we would have a dip in city revenue of 20.32%, when in fact the revenue dip was only 1.54%. This is a bold-faced lie. These people acted as if, what, we didn't make a mistake. They should know better. If they were allowing someone in the city to make such a mistake and had no idea this mistake was being made, this only tells us further that they have no idea what's going on with the city budget. They also, and I've heard complaints throughout the city as I've gone around and asked for help with the homeless community, I've heard them, many small businesses say that there is an atmosphere that has permeated the city against small businesses. Now, most people who know me know that I'm a social activist, but I'm also a fiscal conservative. I do not believe that the city's money should be just arbitrarily dispensed for anything that politicians believe it should be. This should be open, public discussions. And I have sat up here in this hall and watched them pass legislation or city ordinances without ever having read what they would do. And I specifically came here to hear a piece of city business where the money was allocated to the business before they had read the program. And I know because I went to find the program and it had not been published and had not been read by anyone in the city except the gentleman who was presenting it. I went in and asked, is this a common practice? And it turns out that it happens more often than not. The failure to seek city input here is a serious breach of our faith. There have been people, to include myself, who have made calls to the city council asking to sit down and talk to them in a normal manner to avoid any conflict with the city. This came about when I was trying to stop the sweeps here last year. They would not just sit down and talk to me. I was forced into taking further legal action, as other people have been forced with them to take further action or get nothing at all done. But yet they will sit and meet prior to going into a meeting up here, decide how they're going to vote, because we have seen them time after time, even after citizen input, not call a halt to things, go rediscuss it and come back. They already have made up their mind by the time they get in there what they're going to do, which tells us this is government in secrecy, which is a violation of Colorado's sunshine laws. My son brought to my attention this week that the city of Salt Lake decided to take their government offices to 4 days a week, 10 hours a day. It saved the city in 1 year $15 million. Now, I'm not saying the city of Colorado Springs will do this, but what I'm saying is ideas like this are outside the box. These people are not thinking outside the box, and they're not willing to listen to anyone else who does. We might be able to do other things in the city if we are willing to think a little bit outside the box, if we're willing to ask questions of other cities, other people. And now I read into this morning's paper, and I've heard yesterday, that all of a sudden they're interested after they've stirred up everybody in the city. And I talked to one of our firefighters the other day, the second of one in a week, and the guy told me, he said, whether we get paid or not, Patrick, he said, we'll be there. He said, and we'll do the right thing. He said, because it's what we're called to do, and many of us do this because we believe it is what we are called to do. He said, but we disagree with what these people have done and how they're doing it. We cannot, for many reasons, insurance reasons, bond reasons, for the city's rating on things, we cannot allow our firefighters to be downsized. We cannot allow them to be paid less. We cannot allow to lose some of the high, technically trained people who work for us, because fires no longer have to do with just fires. They have to do with chemical accidents and other problems we have. Government should not make war on its citizens. And this is exactly what I call this. So, we will not file this petition until sometime in the middle of the week, I think. The reason is, the 2 months that we have, the 60 days to gather these signatures, include 2 major holidays. And because of that, I am collecting phone calls. My phone has been ringing off the hook, my mailbox filling up. I will start holding meetings at my home, collecting people up and getting them in order, so that as soon as I file this thing this week and giving Mrs. Young, she'll take her probably a week to get these petitions together, I want to be able to stick them in people's hand and hit the streets. But I have to tell you, someone told me something that made me laugh this morning. They said it's seldom in Colorado Springs you can get support from both the right and the left all at one time. These gentlemen have managed to make everyone mad from both sides of the spectrum. I'm getting calls from people from the teabag right and from the far left, which surprised me very much. I'm getting people from Mr. Doug Bruce's group and from people from the far left. In fact, I'm probably getting another one right now. Thank you very much, and anyone who's interested in helping us, there are people here with clipboards. God bless America, and God bless Colorado Springs.